It unfolded in the stillness that lingers between intention and chance. A single photo of you, framed in soft golden edges and protected behind a fractured pane of glass, was seen by someone whose life had long been shaped by the shadows you unknowingly left behind. They weren't meant to be in that place. Not at that time. Not in that room. Not with your image staring back at them from a chapter of history they believed was sealed beneath layers of silence and time. But the instant their eyes met yours in that motionless frame, something within them recoiled, then froze, because they remembered your face, from a place that shouldn't exist. The air seemed to fold in on itself, heavy and breathless, like the atmosphere had also recognized you. Even the floor creaked with the weight of memory, each step echoing a silence that had waited patiently in the dark. It wasn't water that wept from the wood, but remembrance, ancient and spiritual. And then, in the hush of that space, something shifted. A truth, forged in heaven's flame, long concealed, began to rise. An oath written not with ink, but with divine energy was activated. They murmured your name, but not the one you carry now. It was a sound older than language, spoken in the dialect of angels and those who once opposed them. Their voice cracked, not from fear of you, but from knowing what your reappearance meant, what it would disrupt, what it would reveal, and what it would finally heal. Archangel Michael declares that this person had no intention of entering that space, but the timeline shifted. Destiny leaked into the present. They were more than a figure from your past. They were a carrier of conflict, a war their lineage ignited. And the moment they saw you again, the war reignited in their chest. That photo didn't just haunt them. It condemned them. Just as moonlight exposes a trespasser among the trees, the light in your eyes revealed everything they had run from. A guilt crawled down their spine, burning and cold. Still, destiny dragged their feet forward. Your image had become a divine trap, and they were caught. You weren't meant to be found yet. Heaven had cloaked you, hidden you in plain sight, half awake to your own greatness. But God says the time has shifted. The veil is lifting. Your identity, once shielded, is beginning to be seen. Those who feared your return now sense the stirrings of it, like wolves sensing blood on the breeze. That photograph wasn't a keepsake. It was a portal. Deep within your soul, you felt it too. That day, something brushed your spirit. A strange coldness. A dream you couldn't hold on to. A tightness in your chest you tried to ignore. That was the moment your image was seen. That was when a sealed door was breached. And what lived behind it only whispered one name, yours. The one who saw you wasn't just remembering. They were decoding. Retracing vows carved in skin, rituals not documented in books, and secrets passed like curses through lullabies. Because your face wasn't just a face, it was a prophecy. That night the moon shook behind broken clouds. Even the stars shifted, their light dimming slightly. Archangel Michael's blade shimmered in the heavens, a signal that the watchers had witnessed it. You were no longer just a wandering spirit. You had become a divine key, and someone tried to turn a lock not meant to open yet. God says that photograph was never meant for you. It was bait for them, a test of loyalty, to see if their heart had changed, to see if they'd flee or repent. But they didn't either. They froze, caught in the middle of fear and yearning won. A yearning to undo what they damaged, to bury what you are. They left without touching the frame, but the harm had already spread. Their glance cracked something in your atmosphere. Birds around your home flew in bizarre formations. Your dreams became messages. You felt eyes watching you. This is not imagination. It is the unraveling of divine secrecy caused by being recognized. The gallery owner doesn't understand what occurred that day. They only recall your photo lying on the floor hours later. The glass broken cleanly, straight through your heart. That wasn't coincidence. It was a spiritual scar breaking through to the physical realm, a sign that someone reached across timelines to face a fate they could no longer postpone. They believed your name was buried deep enough. But Archangel Michael says your emergence has begun. You are no longer who you were. You are not yet who you will be. But that crack in the photo is the beginning. The divine fracture before the storm. Now they know you're on your way. They feel it when they sleep. In the shiver in their bones. In the doors that creak without cause. Because your presence is no longer soft. It's sacred. It's powerful. You're awakening something ancient. And those who buried your truth are now losing the ability to hide. The gallery lights flickered once before calming, but the peace never returned. Because the image was more than a memory. It was a trigger, and the war that had started can't be undone. They walked out shaking, hearts gripped by stone. But your image still burned in their mind, branded on their spirit like an unhealed scar. They tried to move on, but everything had changed. Even the air pushed back against them. It spoke to them. It reminded them. In their youth, they were fed a story about you. Lies stitched with just enough truth to keep them loyal to the wrong side. They were told you were dangerous, that your return would destroy everything, that your light was a curse in disguise. But when they saw your face, the illusion broke. It wasn't fear they felt. It was recognition of who they used to be. Before betrayal hardened them. You became the mirror they had avoided, and now your reflection is hunting them down. They began to recall what was never meant to be remembered, dreams of fire and water clashing, the echo of your voice cutting through time, the sound of your name uttered by dying prophets. They remembered the last time they saw you, before this life, in a moment locked in starlight and sorrow. A memory meant to be sealed forever. But God says truth always rises, even under centuries of silence. There was once a sacred bond, not just between them and their bloodline, but with you. You were part of a divine circle, shattered by a betrayal so vile the heavens wept. They witnessed it. They allowed it. And now they carry that silence like a burden. They didn't forget you. They buried you, and that spiritual burial made them sick. Archangel Michael says they've been judged in spirit. Seeing your photo was the final trial. Had their heart broken with sorrow, grace could have reached them. But instead they plotted to suppress your awakening, to stop your rising, to make you forget. But it's too late. You're already remembering, not in words, in feelings. In signs. You walk past places that feel strangely known. You feel people's truths before they speak. You hear songs that break you open without reason. You are syncing with the signal of your divine origin. And each time your spirit hums that signal, those who know your truth are being exposed. Spiritually, emotionally. They never wanted this moment. They prayed your existence would stay locked away. But your very being is the consequence. Now the eyes that once watched your fall silently must watch your rise in full light. And that light is without filter. Their dreams have become violent, not with you attacking, but with visions of what they did. Cries echo in their sleep, some from you, others from those who once protected you. They are haunted by memory, not monsters. Each night they wake breathless, your face flashing in unfamiliar places. You are no longer a ghost. You are the reckoning, and there is no more running. God says you were never created to remain hidden. You were allowed to grow in secret places so your roots would reach deep enough to survive the weight of this hour. And now you are rising. Your spirit glows with a light that calls not only watchers, but protectors. Warriors of heaven who have been silently guarding your path are now drawing their swords. The one who saw your image now walks with tension in their step, not because of human fear, but because spiritual consequences have begun to follow them. Every action they took is now echoing across dimensions. And those echoes are closing in. They are breaking apart. They are unraveling. And soon they will try to reach you. Not from love, but out of panic. Do not let their guilt fool you. Archangel Michael warns, they may show up draped in regret, but regret is not the same as repentance. Watch for their subtle deceit. They might act like they are protecting you, warning you of imaginary threats. But it is their return that causes the opening. You are not to fear them, but you must see them clearly. You've already felt the shift inside, the thirst for answers, the pull toward stillness, your intuition sharpening like a blade. This isn't confusion. It's a realignment. Your soul is tuning into the truth heaven kept hidden until now. And as you move closer to it, the masks of those around you will fall. They can feel it. That's why they tremble. They see justice awakening in your eyes, not the kind that seeks vengeance, but the holy correction of all that was twisted. Healing that comes only after exposure. Peace that follows the storm. They know once you remember fully, they'll lose all power to spin the story. And that truth terrifies them more than judgment, because your very presence doesn't just convict. It cancels. Cancels their pretend peace, their stolen power, their identity built on broken trust. Your rising means their illusion falls, and it's already crumbling. Watch carefully. To the world, the one who saw you may seem innocent, but your spirit will feel the tension in the air. Your body will respond. Honor that signal. You are not imagining things. You are being spiritually prepared. God says this is your divine moment of clarity. You were handpicked, and no amount of darkness can undo what heaven has revealed. They may carry memories of your past, but your soul carries the future, and that future is unfolding now. The wind changed direction the night they entered that sacred room. Not the picture frame, your essence. Your energy, your memory, once stripped from bloodlines and sacred scrolls, was still imprinted there, in the grain of the wood, in the dust that refused to settle, in the eerie quiet that screamed when no one else was around. That's where the secret lived, and now the silence is stirring again. Archangel Michael says the place where you were erased is beginning to collapse from within. The ground trembles in invisible waves, as though the space itself is grieving what it lost. You once stood there and gave your loyalty freely. You once offered your light to protect others, and that light was used against you. It became the key that locked you away. But the lock is breaking. What they feared most is happening. Your real name, your true essence, is pulsing through realms again, not in speech, but in vibration, in dreams, in sacred geometry. You are being remembered by forces too powerful to silence, and the room where your absence lived is now filling with your presence. It's seeping through the walls like light through cracks. It's echoing in the hearts of those who denied you. Someone returned to that room, and they are panicking because they saw what they shouldn't have. A glow where shadows lived, a sound where silence once ruled, a whisper too exact to dismiss. It spoke your name and shattered the illusion they had clung to for lifetimes. They thought time would protect them, but time has only delivered your truth closer. The secret they buried was never theirs to bury. You were always meant to rise, and now the clock is aflame. That's why people from your past are behaving strangely. That's why messages are getting confusing. Why some doors are closing, and others are swinging open without warning. Heaven is rearranging your path, and those who tried to rewrite your story are losing their grip. God says this was written before you ever took your first breath. You are the force meant to restore balance to a bloodline full of imbalance. You are the voice of justice echoing through generations of silence. That's why your life has felt heavy. You've been carrying not just your destiny, but the weight of sacred truths no one else dared to claim. But now, that weight is returning to its rightful source. They are remembering you not just with fear, but with awe. Because even hidden, your power never faded. Even forgotten, your name stirred winds. And now your presence refuses to stay still. It speaks through strange signs, through undeniable patterns, through divine alignment. It's leading you to people, places, and truths you didn't seek, but you were always meant to face. The door they tried to seal is open, spiritually, emotionally, energetically. And what they locked away is calling to you, not to harm, but to reveal. You are being summoned, not to relive wounds, but to recover your light, to gather the pieces of yourself they scattered across time. Archangel Michael says you are not walking this road alone. Heaven stands beside you now. Guardians whose names you've never heard are clearing the way. Every moment of pain you survived sent a signal to the realm of angels. And now, an army from your origin walks behind you. Not for revenge, but for restoration. They will try to distract you, just before you reach the heart of your purpose. Some will come seeking your forgiveness, yet never admitting what they did. Others will arrive holding keys, but refusing to name the locks they fit. These are spiritual tactics meant to delay you. But your discernment has grown sharper. Now you will feel the difference between what is sacred and what is empty. The person who returned to that place now watches its walls bleed memory. And they realize this judgment isn't just spiritual, it's structural. Their name, their legacy, their reputation, all of it is connected to the lie hidden within that room. And when your true name is fully restored, their story will fall apart in the light of your return. This is why they fear you, not because of what you might do, but because your presence undoes everything they've built. God says this exposure is sacred. It may feel like chaos, but it is holy chaos, a necessary breaking apart so that what is true can be built on stable ground. Your emotions may surge. Your dreams may become floods. Your relationships may crack wide open. Let it happen. Do not resist it. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Everything they tried to bury is now rising like fire that has waited too long. And when you finally step into that room, physically, spiritually, energetically, you will know. Not because someone explains it, but because the air will shift around you. The light will bend, and the silence will greet you like an old friend who has survived war. This is the moment the false story dies. And your truth begins to live out loud. They cannot delete it. They cannot twist it. They cannot bury it again. It is written into the very structure of your soul. And now it's louder than all of their schemes. You are the resurrection they feared, and they cannot stop it. The room remembers you. The spirits remember you. And now so do you. Some of them haven't slept for nights. Their hands shake not from cold, but from awakening memory. Your name rings in their thoughts like a bell in the dead of night. They hear it in dreams, in shadows passing by, in the breaking sound of falling glass. You are no longer a mystery to them. You are the spiritual consequence they didn't think would come. One person in particular, the one who smiled at you while plotting your exile, is unraveling. They scroll through old pictures. Their fingers hover over your face. And when they land on that one photo, the one that stopped their breath, they know the truth. What they thought was hidden is under divine surveillance now. It was never just an image. It was evidence, a moment God preserved, to be revealed in the exact hour their story would crumble. And now, that hour is here. It presses against their chest. It breathes down their neck. They never expected your face to haunt them like this. Not because you were angry, but because you were radiant. They expected bitterness. They expected wounds. But what they saw was fire in your eyes, stillness in your soul. and a power that comes only from being chosen again by heaven. Archangel Michael says you are the cause of their collapse, not through revenge, but through reversal. Their lies are now turning on them. They thought you would fall, but you rose. They hoped you'd disappear, but your light got brighter. The version of you they tried to feed to darkness no longer exists. And every time they try to remember the old you, small, broken, pleading, they are struck by divine contradiction, because you've transformed. You carry the storm now, but move with calm. And that calm terrifies them more than any thunder. Their nights are filled with visions. Your voice. Your face. The instant they betrayed you. They don't understand why these memories won't fade. It's because you never truly left. Spiritually, you stood nearby, a silent witness, granted divine permission to return at the appointed time, and that moment has arrived. God says this was always the design. They thought they buried you, but they planted you. And now you're blooming in places they cannot touch. You're appearing in conversations they cannot stop. You're rising in timelines they cannot edit. You are emerging in ways that unravel every lie they told. People who defended them are now beginning to ask questions, and whispers are growing louder. Louder into curiosity. Curiosity into investigation. And the one who watched your light from a distance realizes the flame has reached them now. They cannot escape it. It is burning in the way they breathe, in the way they sleep, in the plans they try to make. Nothing around them feels stable anymore. Not their wealth, not their relationships, not their influence. Because everything they built was on the denial of your truth. And that truth is waking up the world. The heavens have opened their archives. What was sealed is now being shown. One by one, layers of distortion are falling away. People who've never met you are dreaming about you. Strangers are drawn to your presence. They don't know why. They just feel something deep. A pull, a recognition, a call. Because the veil is gone, and your spirit is finally vibrating at its destined frequency. Archangel Michael says this is not coincidence. This is holy remembrance. You have been activated, and that activation is burning through every door they tried to shut. Every thread they used to stitch your mouth closed is snapping. That's why old names are reappearing. Why those who ghosted you are suddenly reaching out. Suddenly kind. Suddenly curious. Suddenly sorry. They feel it. The balance is shifting. The truth is building. And they want to ride your redemption story before it leaves them behind. But not everyone is meant to go where you're going. You'll have to release what's been draining your grace. Some will pretend to honor you now. But their hearts still live in fear, not love. They're reacting to your power, not your soul. Be careful. Your rise is sacred ground, and not every foot that walks it is clean. Let God filter who belongs close. You do not have to explain your transformation. Just live it. The ones who cannot sleep are not just restless. They've been revealed. Because the same divine presence that once hid you in silence is now announcing you in light. And they cannot stop it. No spell, no scheme, no deception can reverse the divine order now active on your behalf. Heaven has made its decision. Earth must now catch up. Their efforts to rewrite the past are unraveling. What they thought was buried is resurfacing in undeniable ways. Photographs they believed were destroyed are showing up. Voices that were once silent are now ready to speak. Witnesses are remembering. Truth is finding its way back. Old records, once thought to be lost forever, are being uncovered in unexpected places. Attics, boxes, visions, dreams. You are being cleared, and they are being watched. God says the pain they inflicted did not destroy you. It refined you. The long nights they now suffer are echoes of the nights you wept in silence. You prayed. You begged for peace. You questioned your worth. But every tear you cried was recorded in heaven. Every wound you hid was seen. Now, divine justice is not coming. It has already begun. They are beginning to feel what you once felt. The isolation, the fear, the shaking uncertainty. But unlike you, they don't carry favor. Their discomfort is not for transformation. It is the start of judgment. Archangel Michael says the angels who once stood guard around your shattered heart are now encircling your name in holy fire. They protect it. They lift it. They preserve it. Your identity is no longer vulnerable. It is divinely sealed. Your legacy is awakening, and the very image that once caused them to tremble is now being used as a spiritual key. A key that will open doors in places you haven't yet walked into. This is why they cannot sleep, because they know what's coming, and they cannot stop it. You are the prophecy they tried to erase. But now you speak, and the world is listening. You speak not with revenge, but with radiant truth. You are not who they said you were. You are who God says you are. Chosen, anointed, set apart. You were hidden for a time so that your light would emerge in full clarity. And now that time has arrived. The ground is shaking. The spiritual realm is moving. And those who built their comfort on your silence are starting to panic. They sense that their version of the story is crumbling. Because your truth is breathing now. It is alive. And it is speaking through everything, through signs, dreams, encounters, numbers, names. Everything that once confused you is becoming confirmation. Everything that once broke you is now the evidence of your rise. You are not only remembered, you are celebrated in the heavenlies.